Good afternoon. Welcome to Your Kingdom Come. I'm excited to cover this book. We'll probably do small bites of the book. We won't do a big chunk today. We'll just do little pieces, but I do feel led to go over this book because I think it's totally relatable to all of us at some point, and I'm just excited to cover this. The book is called Ecclesiastes, the Hebrew word being kohelet, meaning preacher, and I want to mainly focus on the bottom portion of this, which is Ecclesiastes was written by a man by the name of King Solomon, as you can see. And I'm going to talk about who King Solomon was so you can get a better context of the book of Ecclesiastes and see where he was in his life when he wrote it. So the biblical King Solomon was known for his wisdom, his wealth, and his writings. He became ruler in approximately 967 before Common Era. His crowning achievement was the building of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. Almost all knowledge of him is derived from the biblical books of 1 Kings and 2 Chronicles. I mentioned in the previous video a man by the name of King David. Well, this is his son. Solomon was King David's son. And for Solomon, he went through some really wonderful times and some trials, as you would read in those books, like I said, 1 Kings and 2 Chronicles. But what he's noted for is his overwhelming wisdom. And he wrote the Song of Songs, as you can see here, the Book of Proverbs, and Ecclesiastes. He had amassed wealth that was never seen in history. He had amassed wisdom that was never seen in history. But he also had made a couple mistakes in his life, and one of them was chasing many women that chased other gods, and he lost his dedication to the one true God of Israel. And when he did this, he started becoming oppressed, and he started feeling disconnected. And he started losing his way. And that's why this book of Ecclesiastes, kohelet in Hebrew, meaning the preacher, is so vital, because it's going to walk you through this man's life almost like you're hearing him from a journal, like he's putting his heart out on the book itself. It's going to be really, really special to see this. And I'm going to do the first two chapters today. We're going to go here, and then we'll see where we go. But I'd like to cover this whole book. If you're interested, hopefully we can continue to go. But let's take a look at this. These are the words of the teacher, King David's son, who ruled in Jerusalem. Everything is meaningless. Everything is meaningless, says the teacher. Completely meaningless. What do people get for all their hard work under the sun? Generations come and generations go, but the earth never changes. The sun rises and the sun sets, then hurries around the rise again. The wind blows south and then north. Around and around it goes, blowing in circles. Rivers run into the sea, but the sea is never full. Then the water returns again to the rivers and flows out again to the sea. Everything is wearisome beyond description. No matter how much we see, we are never satisfied. No matter how much we hear, we are not content. So put yourself in this man's shoes. Like I said, he amassed the most wealth. At one point, he had the most power. He was known for building the first temple in Jerusalem. And yet, he looks out and something's missing. And how relatable is that to a person that wins a Super Bowl, achieves the highest Emmy, Oscar, puts all their life into a passion, hits that pinnacle, that top of that mountain, and still feels empty inside? And that's what you're seeing here when he starts out this chapter. So then we're going to look a little deeper from 9 to 11. I want to touch this part. History merely repeats itself. It has all been done before. Nothing under the sun is truly new. Sometimes people say, here is something new, but actually it is old. Nothing is ever truly new. We don't remember what happened in the past, and in future generations, no one will remember what we are doing now. So you can see almost as he's pouring his heart out, he's trying to reveal to you two key things from 9 to 11. For one, he's saying that just because we're on this earth presently, we tend to think that we're seeing something new. New evil, new hate, new wickedness, new love. But that's been here since the beginning of time. Now, in certain generations, it may have been turned up or turned down, but it's not new. And then the second part you see is he says that, and this is to a person, especially an unbeliever, or a person who has no faith, when you hear, we don't remember what happened in the past, and in future generations, No one will remember what we're doing now. That's a fairly true statement. Many people go through this life, work 60, 70 years, raise a family. 2 years later, they're just a memory at best. No one is thinking about that person in their day to day. So you can see where this man's coming from. Let's all take a look at this and analyze. The teacher speaks, the futility of wisdom. I, the teacher, was king of Israel, and I lived in Jerusalem. I devoted myself to search for understanding and to explore by wisdom everything being done under heaven. I soon discovered that God has dealt a tragic existence to the human race. I observed everything going on under the sun, and really, it is all meaningless, like chasing the wind. What is wrong cannot be made right. What is missing cannot be recovered. I said to myself, look, I am wiser than any of the kings who ruled in Jerusalem before me. I have greater wisdom and knowledge than any of them. So I set out to learn everything from wisdom to madness and folly. But I learned firsthand that pursuing all this is like chasing the wind. The greater my wisdom, the greater my grief. To increase knowledge only increases sorrow. So I can tell you, I've been studying, I've been researching. I'm not probably your average person. I really go really hard when I really am passionate about something. And what happens is you almost chase it. And one, it becomes exhausting. And two, you miss the point. For example, right now, what did he start out? I set out to learn everything from wisdom to madness and folly. But I learned firsthand that pursuing all this is like chasing the wind. A good example could be we chase, and it's almost like a leprechaun with that pot of gold. You're chasing, and then once you catch up to him, you tackle and realize it's just an empty pot. This whole time, that's kind of what our souls go through when we're chasing and pursuing everything that doesn't matter. Now, we may think it matters in the moment, but it's clear it doesn't matter in the grand scope of things. So now moving to chapter 2. Just bear with me 1 second. The futility of pleasure. I said to myself, come on, let's try pleasure. Let's look for the good things in life. But I found that this too was meaningless. So I said, laughter is silly. What good does it do to seek pleasure? After much thought, I decided to cheer myself with wine. And while still seeking wisdom, I clutched at foolishness. In this way, I tried to experience the only happiness most people find during their brief life in this world. So again, this man is going through an internal struggle. He's searching. He's trying. All of us, I gotta believe every single person is chasing something, whether it be gambling, lust, drugs, family, romantics, alcohol, all different food. All of us are chasing something, and you know what the main reason of that is we're not content in our soul. We have now found peace in our soul, and at this point, please don't misunderstand this book yet. And I'm only going to stop at 2 today, but we're going to keep continuing. But at this point, you can see where King Solomon, is going through that exact thing. So like he had stated, there's nothing new under the sun. That's what's so beautiful about these scriptures is they're timeless. They continue to go on if you open them up and read them, and they're so relatable to your daily struggle in your daily life. And nothing changes. The same struggles he had at a major or minor level is what we go through. So let him keep going. He said, I also tried to find meaning by building huge homes for myself and by planting beautiful vineyards. I made gardens and parks, filling them with all kinds of fruit trees. I built reservoirs to collect the water and to irrigate my many flourishing groves. I bought slaves, both men and women, and others were born into my household. I also owned large herds and flocks, more than any of the kings who had lived in Jerusalem before me. I collected great sums of silver and gold, the treasure of my kings and provinces. I hired wonderful singers, both men and women, and had many beautiful concubines. I had everything a man could desire. So while we've touched on this topic, when you see slaves, I know that we've been conditioned and we believe the word slave as it was in the transatlantic slave trade of the Africans, but that's not this type of slavery. So in the Bible, you understand that a man mainly would offer his services because he had nothing and would be bought. But it wasn't against his will. He freely chose to commit to another man, call him a leader or someone, a slave. Don't I want to say owner, because after 6 years, that slave had the option if he wanted his freedom or wanted to stay with the master per se. But this was not the slavery that we think of in the transatlantic slave trade. And then when you see here, just to make it clear about concubines, these were what they would call other women. So he had many women. So look at what he chased. He chased homes, or everything materialistic. He chased homes. He chased money. He chased women. He chased everything. And look what he says. So I became greater than all who lived in Jerusalem before me, and my wisdom never failed me. Anything I wanted, I would take. I denied myself no pleasure. I even found great pleasure in hard work, a reward for all my labors. But as I looked at everything I worked so hard to accomplish, it was all so meaningless, like chasing the wind. There was nothing really worthwhile anywhere, the wise and the foolish. So I decided to compare wisdom with foolishness and madness. For who can do this better than I, the king? I thought wisdom is better than foolishness, just as light is better than darkness. For the wise can see where they're going, but fools walk in the dark. Yet I saw that the wise and the foolish share the same fate. Here we go. Again, look at where his soul is at in this walk. Both will die. So I said to myself, since I will end up the same as the fool, what's the value of all my wisdom? This is all so meaningless. For the wise and the foolish both die. The wise will not be remembered any longer than the fool. In the days to come, both will be forgotten. So I came to hate life, because everything done here under the sun is so troubling. Everything is meaningless, like chasing the wind. I came to hate all my hard work here on earth, for I must leave to others everything I've earned. And who can tell whether my successors will be wise or foolish? Yet they will control everything I have gained by my skill and hard work under the sun. How meaningless! So I gave up in despair, questioning the value of all my hard work in this world. So I really want to stress an important point. As you can see here, that he was given everything. There's nothing that this man didn't have. There's materialistic, physical, but I really want to challenge you, and as we continue to read these chapters, there was one key part he hasn't mentioned and one key part he was really missing. And like I've harped on in the first video, that relationship with the Creator. So he chased everything and couldn't find no rest. His soul couldn't find any rest in all the things, building homes, seeking money, wisdom, women, power. I mean, you name it. Everything that this world can offer you, whether it be what you see on TV, everybody's in this rat race of life. And when he really was at a dark place, he said, we all die, so what's the point? So I would almost say that this is very relatable to a depression. He's in a legitimate depression, and he had everything. So I just want to end on, for that person right now that might hear this and is chasing something, yes, you provide for your family. Yes, you take care of your responsibilities. But if it becomes an idol, if it's something that you chase after, more than you put into what really matters, which is walking and doing the will of your Creator and finding out who is that Creator and what is the will, and what gifts has he given you that you can help promote this kingdom I speak about and that he spoke about many, many, many years ago and continues to speak about through his word. If you can get aligned in lockstep with that, you'll feel that sense of purpose. So I just want to come on here and encourage you, but also bring it back to reality. This is very sobering. This is a first 2 chapters of a book that has a roller coaster ride of emotions. But as you can see at this point, it's very dark, very full of depression. But to be fair, a lot of truth. There's a lot of truth in this. It's not like he's saying things that aren't true. So I just want to thank you for your time. I hope this was a blessing. And again, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. In the name of the great Creator. Peace.